here I am on my way to Studio G in Brooklyn. So let's go. Well, let me tell you, I'm almost at the Studio G. I was in Manhattan. It took me about 30 to 40 minutes on the subway. These visits to studios are very interesting. And being here again is going to be really, really exciting. Well, we are here with Joel Hamilton. Hi, Joel.
How are you? Thanks for making it over here.
Joel, I was wondering if you can talk me more about the history of this studio.
The history of Studio G Brooklyn, it's like 30 years ago, we started the studio. My partner, Tony Mamoni, who is a bass player, he played with Jeff Buckley, he played with Per Ubu, They Might Be Giants, so many people. And he started it as a rehearsal space, basically in a different location from here. And then ultimately it kind of organically grew, like the same way a kid outgrows their sneakers. It was like we started to feel it, like we were getting too big for the space we were in. And we didn't have any startup investors or anything like this. So each move had to be incremental. It had to just be a little piece at a time. We couldn't say, okay, now we need $10 million and we're gonna build this whole place. It was like a little at a time. So there was even one point in 2011, you know, so we started in 93, and then in 2011, we finished building the upstairs here. We're in Studio D, which is one of the ones downstairs at Studio G Brooklyn. Yeah, we're in the D room. And there was one moment where our Neve was still in the old space, which is across the park here. And the SSL was in this space. And so we had a bicycle with interns putting like a 47 in the basket and riding through the park, because Tony would like call me and go, I need the M49, you know, like, and so a $10,000 microphone put in like the basket, and an intern would ride over, you know, like it's only a 5-minute ride, but it's a $10,000 ride.
It's very expensive.
I mean, it's an expensive 5-minute bicycle ride. But then finally we moved everything in here, and that was upstairs here. And then slowly after that, we had the opportunity to take over the first floor. So now we have the entire building here, which is crazy. So we're the only people in this whole building now. I think I know it in meters, 3,200 square meters. You know, like 11,000 square feet. But so basically it was just that. It was like from the beginning, we just kept growing like a farmer, right? And the farmer starts with a little house, and then they have kids and they start building off the side of the house, you know, and all of this. It was like that. We didn't start with a castle. You know, we started with something small and kept building and building and building. You know,
bigger, bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The name of the studio is because the subway here, right?
At the old space. At the old space, you could walk up the stairs from the G train, from the subway here in Brooklyn. And the G train is the only train that doesn't go to Manhattan. It's the Brooklyn local train. And you could walk to the top of the stairs, and if your feet were still on the stairs, you could reach the doorbell at Studio G. But because the exit is really far from the tracks, we never heard the train. Like people would say, oh, couldn't you hear the train downstairs? But no, because the exit is like through a tunnel and then you go upstairs, you know. But it was funny. So people started saying, oh, you mean that studio by the G train? And then soon people said, oh, the G train studio? And then soon they were like, the G studio? And then finally it was Studio G. You know, because we didn't even have a name. It was just the studio by the G train.
It's a good name. coming here, I saw the G, so I guess
Yeah.
it's a good.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you find us. You just follow the G
Yeah,
through New York City.
yeah.
So this room is called room F, and it's just like a one live open space, but that we put a PA in it because we'll have a small kind of event and we can seat 50 people in this room and then record the band. You can see the tie lines, actually. You can see it goes right up the wall because the SSL is directly above this room here. So basically there's 24 tie lines and 6 Cat 6 lines going up to the A room. And then there's 24 tie lines and 6 Cat 6 going to the D room where we just were. So from 2 different control rooms can use this live space to record. This was the last room we finished. So basically with the shows that we're having, it's technically not a show because we're not a club.
Yeah.
And so what it is, it's a live recording with people usually come in after a Kickstarter, you know, and they pay to be in the audience with their favorite band. And it helps to fund the recording session, right? So that way the band can come in and actually get a live record and just sell 50 tickets to pay for the live record. So it's a crowd-funded live recording. So it's been going really well. And we work with some people who are really good cinematographers to come, a director that comes in with 3 cameras and films as well. And we have a small analog setup. We decided to just have a small analog setup for the PA because we have so much equipment. That means that we can bring down, you know, 4 distressors and a couple of API EQs for the vocal or the guitars or whatever, and run that through the PA. So it's why we kept it just a small analog setup, because we have so much outboard gear that can be brought down here. Classic. It looks like it's from the late 80s or the early 90s, you know?
Yeah.
So we have more instrument storage down here. We call this glass box. So we put it in the glass box because it's all got glass all the way around it. But so drum storage, more guitars, more amps from upstairs, and you know, some good choices for in the D room or in the F room without having to carry it downstairs. Oh, the mini mix room here.
Ah, I didn't see this.
So this is basically a private room for one of the owners because he works in the box exclusively and does most of his editing and mixing in here.
Wow. Very nice.
So we built him a small mix suite that he could just use all the time, you know. And we use it, the owners will use it to come in and listen to demos and things, you know. And he prints stems to tape. So, you know, 4 stereo stems, because it's an 8-track 1/2 inch. So he'll mix, you know, all the drums to 1 and 2, and then all the guitars to 3 and 4, and all the vocals to 5 and 6 type of thing. We were advised by some really good acousticians for this room. So that's why the back, there's so much treatment in this room. It's small, but it's pretty flat. You can tell even talking in here that it's pretty flat, even though it's small. So it works. I mean, it's balanced. When he mixes something and then goes and listens in the other rooms, it's not crazy. It sounds good still.
I was wondering about the Araton speakers. What is the main use?
They're limited bandwidth.
Yeah.
And primarily we use them more for producing than mixing. Like, because if you think of it, it's like if you have enough happening in the mid-range that the song still sounds exciting even when you take it off of the big speakers, then you're doing something right.
Oh, okay.
But also for translation. It's not because we think anybody has a speaker. They used to use it for like TVs back in the day when there was just that. But now they're just a really, really good reference to what's happening in a very small range in your mix, because the center of your mix carries the DNA of like the bass and the treble, you know?
Amazing.
And it's why we have them in every room, mostly as producer speakers.
Okay.
Instead of mixer speakers, you know. Always same thing, Bose, because that used to be like the boombox, you know, like the portable radio, and now this is like the smallest thing you can have next to your, like that my aunt has next to her computer or whatever, listening in her kitchen. So that's just kind of like the cheap home stereo listen.
A lot of studios here.
Yeah.
How many?
It's A, B, C, D, E, F. And then, and no, I stopped at F. But then production room 1, 2, and 3 is back here. Let's go see if E is open right now.
Joel also tells me that there are several spaces they rent in the studio.
So see, this is production room 2 and has its own storage as well, but we just rent it, so they're private. These are private rooms right now, but so Studio E and production room 2 are just rented monthly.
Right.
Well, it was people that were renting things from us, you know, booking time for writing or recording their demos, and then they said, do you just have a small room where we can just leave it set up all the time? And we did that. And this is the other production room here.
There are a lot of studios in the world, and I guess in New York. And what could be the difference from Studio G to the other studios?
Yeah, I think it's because when we were first growing, there were so many big studios like Avatar and Magic Shop and Clinton and all these big old famous studios that we knew we could never compete. We never thought we would compete with them.
Okay.
But everything that we did, it moved like a band instead of moving like a business. So I would go and work at Avatar and I would say, I need a U87. And the person would say, okay. And they would call downstairs and say, we need U87 number 3. And then they would go down the slowest elevator in the world and we're waiting. And then finally the microphone would come back and we would be able to set it up and get started with the vocals or whatever. And here it was like, we need an 87, and like 30 seconds later, it's like having an idea with your band when you can just move quickly and easily. So it wasn't like a dinosaur that couldn't change direction.
Okay.
You know, because we were impatient because we came from that side of the glass.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's a bunch of musicians that are like, this should be easy and quick to get our ideas recorded.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, we are technicians. And you need to give us 15 minutes to calibrate this or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that we didn't do it, we just did it before the clients arrived, and we did it.
That's right.
You know, we just made the extra effort to make everybody more comfortable. The printer works, the Wi-Fi's fast. We have, you know, Diet Cokes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
a lot of equipment.
Just everything. Yeah, so much equipment, but also comfort for the people working with the equipment.
Yeah, it's very important.
You know? So you feel like it's somewhere you can spend a week and actually kind of like chill, and it becomes your space, you know?
Yeah.
That was important to us, and we extend that. Like hospitality, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a hotel that's like, did you bring a bed? Where's your bed? You know?
Yeah.
Like, no, we have it for you. We have it. This mess is all Sesame Street's equipment right here that we let them keep it here, but that's why it's in a pile. So if you've ever seen Elmo fall down the stairs, you're hearing this equipment when Elmo falls down the stairs. It's everywhere is instruments. So basically these are the more weird choices, because the ones we use all the time are in the other closet by the A room, which I'll show you in a minute. But there's basses and guitars in here, including an electric sitar. But so all of these storage areas, and they're numbered, so we can tell the interns, like, this guitar goes in storage 4. Or storage 5 or storage 6. So see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I didn't see that numbers.
Yeah. So each one has a specific reason to exist. Like the percussion is all organized so that you can choose a cowbell, or, you know, wooden shakers or tambourines, things like this. But that's in storage 1. This is all the floating equipment, including the Camilo Silva tube, because we use it in more than one room. So this goes between rooms, because I only have one. Camilo, I need to get more. But right now we only have one of the tube ones, so that's why we keep it in a rack that you can bring into whatever room you want it, you know?
Oh, okay.
You know, there's gear in each room, but then some of the things we say is a floater.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, oh, more Camilo Silva right here, the compressor, so you can bring that into whatever room you're working in. Pair of distressors, you know. I usually make all of these.
Yeah?
But then this one we bought. I don't remember where we got this one.
I like it.
I like that one with the dovetail. But these just match the wood in the rooms, you know? And then synth rack. We use these carts everywhere, and it's a way, because the facility is big enough, it's a way to put a Fender Princeton here. You know, the one with two shelves here is like the amp cart. And then this one is to put microphones and everything, and you bring it into the studios. Yeah. Because then you can go to the mic locker, which we didn't film as well, but we should.
Do you play any instrument?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up playing music, and that's how I became an engineer, was being in bands that some of them did pretty well. Yeah. And so that let me know this is what is inspiring to me, is being in the studio, and the people that were cool to us. It's really that simple. The people that said, yeah, let's try that. You know, they were the ones that inspired me. That's the people who inspired me to say, listen, we want to be able to say yes to anything the band asks us. Yeah. You know? So these are the guitars we use all the time, instead of the ones that I showed you over there.
Really?
So these are used all the time. So this is where there's the Les Pauls and the 62 Stratocaster, and you know, all the really nice ones are in here. Crazy. Some of them are really crazy old. Like here, look. I'll show you this one. It's beautiful. This one was handmade in New York City by a guy who worked for D'Angelico for years, but it was made in the 20s.
20s?
Yeah. And it's incredibly beautiful. There's even like jewels in the headstock, you know? So beautiful. Yeah. Classic.
Wow, 100 years ago.
Yeah, 100-year-old guitar.
Wow.
Crazy. And just so like by hand. Everything is like by hand, you know, like no machines.
What about the sound?
It's cool, it's like jazzy.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Because it's got this crazy pickup, and you change the tone by sliding the pickup. You know, so you can, that's the only real tone control. There's a little bit of a tone control here because they made it electric after.
Okay.
You know, like this was mounted probably in the 40s or early 50s. This was mounted. Oh, here's something, look. We use, when you were asking how many things there are, for each space, there's a QR code that shows what's in here, because it changes. Like if I went and play a show somewhere, this is where on the QR code on the sheet, I would be able to say I have my Les Paul, so that they don't think it got stolen. So that you can check because it's missing, you know, and then you can check and go, okay, Joel has it, cool. It didn't get stolen. Idea. So for each space has that. I'll show you in the mic locker.
Exchange. Oh.
Yeah, like dynamic tracking.
Yeah,
you know?
Amazing.
Because it's easy to hit from anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you can even update it. If I forgot here, I can update it when I land in Bogotá that I brought a guitar.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a good idea.
So same thing here. See, there's the mic inventory QR code. And then it tells you the ones that are downstairs as well in the other storage area.
Great.
But so everything is organized, has its own little area labeled. Except for the weirdo mics, small.
Weirdo mics?
Yeah, just weirdo. So, but we have everything here, like the clips. So the assistants will come and get the clips here. Shock mounts are here and here, like the bigger ones. It's because we're so busy today. Normally it's full of shock mounts, but it like Rycote, and then the Neumanns are normally here, all the different brands. Then the smaller ones, like for small diaphragm shock mounts, are in here. Clips for everything in here, and some of the small stereo bars. And then SM69, the stereo Neumann, that's one of them, and then the other two live up here. U95s, the M49 and FET47, which I guess is being used. The 67 power supply, TLM 67, because these all have specific cables, so they stay, separate from XLRs and everything, obviously. The CMV power supplies and cabling. And then these are just, if there's a different type, like a stereo microphone, like the, stereo Audio Technica that breaks out, they're in here.
Yeah, it's a good idea to have everything organized.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is out right now, but you can tell, like there's even a sticker on the floor where like the other 44 and the other 67 reissue and the other 251 goes here. A pair of 147s. The Soyuz are up here, like there's two 017s and then two pairs of the 013s. The biggest microphone in the world, which is the RFT 7151, which is this, is the body of this mic. So that's just the body, and then you put one of these on top of it.
Wow.
Which is the M7 capsule, which is really famous Neumann capsule, the M7, which is what's in a 47, but that's what goes on top of that body, on that mic body.
Wow.
And so when you want to change from cardioid to figure 8, you have to put the M8. So M7 is cardioid, and this one is figure 8.
Figure 8.
This is drum storage, which again, a lot of it is being used at the moment, but all of our drum kits fit in here for upstairs. Vintage Slingerland, an IOT kit, a couple different brands. And then all the snare choices are here, which there's a lot, because there's 2 rows here, and then this row, there's one behind. So there's drums in the back as well. So we have a lot of snares to choose from, and it's all the ones you would want, like vintage Black Beauty, new Black Beauty. This one, feel this. Feel the weight of this one.
No, man. Wow. 20 pounds maybe?
It's bell brass. It's the bell brass, so it's a brass shell, but the shell is like this thick, but made out of brass, so it weighs like a crazy amount.
Yeah. Wow. And then
Yeah. Because everybody always takes it out and starts hitting it.
Yeah.
The office, which is a mess, but this is where the office is for the studio.
The office.
Yep, like tape storage, and then office, like just a Mac Mini up there that we can sit at, and a printer, but it's where the office is. And then more guitar storage, so even more like acoustic guitars that stay along there.
A lot of. Who made this closet?
Me.
Wow.
All of these, everything here. I designed every room and built every room. Like I was the carpenter for every single room. Like literally every single thing you see was me and friends, but we built everything. There's more Sesame Street equipment in here right now.
They are recording here.
Every Monday, the last 7 seasons of Sesame Street have been done here. The machine rooms are that's like where the SSL, there's The power supplies for the SSL, so that's just for the SSL console. So the power supplies, and it has its own air conditioning because the power supplies need their own air conditioner for an SSL. So just this little thing, and then you open the sliding door right here, and you go behind the equipment. You go behind the racks.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we can sneak into A just for a minute here.
Here I am in the most important studio, Studio A, in the middle of a session. It's overwhelming to think about how many people have recorded here and to be present in this space. Have you recorded any artist that you listened when you were young?
Yeah.
Did you ever thought that you were going to record that
No
artist?
way.
No.
I never thought I would do anything.
Oh, okay.
Like any of this, any of the music stuff.
Yeah.
I never knew I would ever have a studio. I never thought any of this. Because again, we started this without an inheritance or any money really, so it had to grow organically.
Yeah.
But then I find myself producing, writing, mixing a song with Tom Waits, and then engineering and doing sound design, collaborating with Elvis Costello, all these people I had seen on TV, when I was a kid. And they're like these legacy artists, people like that. That was really crazy. I definitely never thought that I would get to record somebody who was in the Beatles, and then I get to spend 4 days with Paul McCartney and Rick Rubin, like recording him, like crazy. I mean, that's just crazy talk to me. But at the same time, these are people that are making this happen, So at the core, it's like, let's start with the most human things, like some snacks and some water, and then everybody's ready to go. With Rick Rubin, he has a thing that they call Rick Ready. They say Rick Ready.
Rick Ready?
Like the room is Rick Ready.
Oh,
and what that means is that basically all the cables, like if it's coming down from the overhead stand, it's got like a little Velcro and it comes straight down the stand and it's like coiled at the bottom and it just looks clean. Like it looks like somebody cared when they put it up. And you can tell it's not the coil or the cable that makes it sound good, but it's like the care of making the cable straight and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you can tell somebody took just like 10 more seconds to make it clean and nice when the artist walks in, and you don't even have to think for a second, like, is that going to fall on the drummer's head? Or you know what I'm saying? You just know somebody cares. It's the same thing we always say about like the little mint, like the candy that they put on your pillow at a fancy hotel. That's not what makes you sleep better, but knowing that the person who like set up your room cares, that's what makes you sleep better, And that, to me, that became everything. That's every detail in this studio. Is like you can tell the people who go and get you your lunch care because they write the names on each one. Because they use the receipt.
That's important.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like set up and there's already the like forks and knives and you know what I'm saying? It's these little things that we were doing that while some huge studio in Manhattan just was like, we're the hit factory so we can do whatever we want. And there was none of those comforts. There was great gear. There's an SSL and there's some nice microphones and some nice monitors, but you also just feel like nobody cares that you're there.
Do you have Joel's ready?
Yeah, now it's Joel ready. around Studio G, it's Joel ready.
Joel ready, okay. You have been in a lot of times in South America, Colombia. What do you think of the new studios that are opening or the new audio generations?
I think it's so cool. I started going there in 2009. And it was right when everything started to turn around, right? Like everything started to change a lot. Like nobody had a studio and then a lot of studios opened, And I think what's so cool is everyone said, no one's gonna come save me, right? There's no hero that's gonna come from the sky and give me a 1073. I have to do this myself. And a lot of great studios have been built that would have never existed 15 years ago. You know, there was only like the big old like audio vision type thing, which is beautiful. You know, I think seeing small studios open up and seeing things like the Attico building in Septima, like at Javeriana, I watched that get built. You know what I mean? Like, so when I saw those things get built and a lot of the small studios and people doing it for themselves, so like big and small, like a kid who has like a small studio and the Attico, obviously is different, right? Same thing with El Alto, it's a big thing. I saw that happening in Colombia, and then I would go speak in Lima. And Colombia became the place where kids from Lima were like, how do I do what they're doing in Bogotá? It was amazing to see so quickly, like 10 to 15 years, having everybody really turn around and make a scene, you know, together. Because not everybody had to be the superstar. It was like one person has to be able to run the lights. One person has to be able to mix front of house, like for a show. One person needs to record the band, and then that band has somewhere to play. You know, I mean, there's bands recording in cool small studios in Bogotá that then are playing at festivals run entirely by Bogotanos. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. Instead of just hoping like, okay, maybe we'll make a record and then move to Miami or some shit. You know what I mean? It's all happening in the city there, you know, in the country, which is super cool.
I went to a talk like 15 years ago at Maloca. I don't know if that was the first talk, but it was very inspiring for me, and I want to thank you about that.
Wow, that's cool. I'm glad, man.
Yeah.
The first time I was there ever was to record Divagash.
Yeah.
The very first workshop was for Rock al Parque. They had like daytime workshops, and with industry professionals would be at desks and the bands could come talk to us. Like a consultation, you know?
Yeah.
Which is how I wound up in the book for the 15-year anniversary of Rock al Parque, which is so funny. Random, me, super Colombiano.
Yeah, you're super Colombiano, man. More Colombiano than me. I know this is difficult to answer, but if you want to work in a studio in the A, B, C, which is your favorite?
A and B.
A and B.
Because B, I love tracking in B on the Neve, and I love mixing in A. Most of us for rock records, we track in B. We record in B. Because the live room is a little more live and just sounds a little more rock. You know?
Yeah.
For drums especially. Oh man.
This is the most important place.
The lounge, exactly. And we love, the thing is, when I worked at Avatar, it was like, there were so many times where it's a common lounge, so people would eat together. You know, you would see like Norah Jones eating with like a punk band from down the street or whatever, because it's like, this is shared for A, B, and C for this area. So it's cool, like there's something really nice about seeing all the different people like meet each other and, you know?
Did you make this too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I teach at Attico in Javeriana. I teach mix. Do you know the Studio A?
Yeah.
The biggest. There are a lot of students, young people. I would like you to give them an advice because, you know, audio and music, it is not easy.
I think number one is, if you're enthusiastic about what you do, if you're excited when you walk in the room and you show that excitement by being really dedicated to making the record or your own record or whatever, to the work. I think that's number one. When we have interns that come in, we know the intern that's going to succeed is the one that's excited to do anything.
Yeah.
Coiling cables, you know what I'm saying? Putting
Anything,
away the
yeah.
microphones, because it gives them a chance to like hold the 251 and then put it in the box and put it away and do it correctly. But it's like now they've held one of the most famous microphones in history, you know, like to hold these things, to work with the equipment. That makes it feel exciting to work on a record. When everybody in the room is excited, it changes the energy. Stay with it. Every year that you do something, you grow, you get more money, you get more time to do the record, you get all the things that you think you don't have any right now. And the reason I know this is true is because I didn't have any money when I started this. I was recording punk and hardcore records, you know, on an 8-track 1/4-inch machine that was borrowed from a friend's dad who did have money. And it was like every single one of those steps felt like the end to me. I could never see the path. And all of a sudden, I looked down and it was really far from where I had started. You know, 10 years later, which I know sounds like forever if you're 18 years old. 10 years sounds like a million years. But at the same time, it was really only 10 years that I saw myself going from I never recorded a record to recording people that we know their names.
Yeah.
And that was huge, was just every single time, it's just a little step, you know? And I reinvested any money that I made into music and life. I mean, we have to live and pay rent and all this, but if I have a little bit left over, get one more 57. Get one more DI. Sometimes the steps feel too small though, like you're trying to get back. If you were trying to get home and you started walking towards Miami, it's gonna feel like a long time to get home.
Yeah.
So you know where you're trying to be, and we all want to get there to where you're just like working with famous people and getting paid all this money or whatever you think it is. And sometimes the steps feel really, really small, but as long as it's in the right direction, you're going to use that information in the sessions you do 10 years from now. And I still use those skills. Like you can't delete that experience and still be the person you are today.
Yeah, of course.
You know, in audio, I mean in life, but in audio especially, you just behave differently. You make people feel like, okay, this person's gonna get us to the finish line.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and try to generate something every single week. You can record pots and pans at home on a phone and try to put the phone somewhere that like it sounds cool. Is it going to be a hit or like in the global 50? Like who cares? It's like the point is to just like complete a project every week, every day, whatever it is for you. Like, because that's what I did with a 4-track, and only because iPhones didn't exist. And I know that sounds boomer, but like whatever I had to record with, I recorded with it. You know, a cassette deck is what I started with one microphone. And so you put like a radio playing right here, and then you play acoustic guitar on this side, and your mix is like how close the radio is and how close you're sitting. And I would do like overdubs that way.
I think that's the curiosity.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that. Curiosity and excitement together is massive.
Discipline.
Discipline gets you out of bed in the morning, but then the excitement makes you like put the microphone like over here and try something, you know, like the curiosity and trying to experiment. Because every single time you record, it's an experiment that you carry with you in your head. Every single time.
Man, thank you.
It's the key. Thank you for taking the time.
All the words.
Oh man.
They are gold for us, really. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to come over.
No, it was amazing.
All right, let's go for a walk or something.
This was the walk Joel was talking about.
Window there,
Yeah?
it's Grand Central.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a daughter, so don't worry, I'm not going to do anything too crazy.
Thank you. If you think this video could be helpful to a friend who might want to learn about Studio G or Joel Hamilton, don't hesitate to subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the next video. Take care, bye.